Today is my first ever mini movie. I'm not calling them vlogs, I'm calling them mini documentaries, mini movies of my alcohol-free adventures, and it starts today. I was telling my daughters, I was telling my wife, we are going into the movie business, which then sort of morphed into mini documentaries, which morphed back into vlogs, and you could feel the disappointment, hear the disappointment. But movies it is, right? But instantly, on my first ever mini movie, there's an issue. 2 weeks ago, this book landed through that front door. It's my first ever book, or one of the first ever books that I've been given by a publicist, because the wonderful Charles Wasmond mentions OYNB in the book. So this was my opportunity to read a free book. What could be more exciting? But then it got even more exciting still, because just a few days ago, the publicist came on to me and said, would you like to interview Charles? Yes, I would. For your podcast. Perfect. But she gave me an option. I could do it in person, or I could do it via Zoom, the way that we always do our podcasts. But then I thought to myself, do you know what? Here's an opportunity to do something I've never done before, just like this alcohol-free adventure. Mine started 5.5 years ago. I don't have to worry about that anymore, but I'm constantly trying to push myself. I'm constantly trying to get myself out of my comfort zone. So I thought, well, here's an opportunity. I could go and do this interview in person. I've never done an interview like this in person before. I've certainly never recorded a podcast in person before. So I said, do you know what? I prefer to do them in person. But then I forgot about it, as you do. And I've just arrived back from a wedding. Today's the day of the interview, and I've got no idea how I'm going to record it. The OYNB team sent me some equipment a long while ago. I just need to check, will it work? And I'm starting to panic, because I've got this interview with this amazing woman, Charles Wasmond, MBE, my first ever in the flesh interview. I'm not prepared for the interview, and I've got no idea how I'm going to record it without making myself look silly, that I'm going to arrive there, pushing myself out of my comfort zone, and then just have to record it straight onto an iPhone, right? Which Charles is going to notice straight away that I don't have a clue what I'm doing, yet I've already pretended to her publicist, I'm all over this stuff, right? I do this all the time. Of course I do in-person interviews. I'll be there, don't worry about it. Yes. Little cheeky adapter thing. I'm the most untech-savvy person in the world, by the way. Into a little microphone. Into a little microphone. Let's check it out. Testing, 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 testing. Testing, 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 testing. That's not working. I should have known. I should have known. It was not going to work. It's not even like testing, testing, testing. It's not working at all. It's only just picking up the normal, like my voice. Nothing to do with the microphones. Dance floor disaster. I've still got a bit of time to try and figure this out, but that is not working. So here was an opportunity for me to get myself, push myself, force myself out of my comfort zone. And that's what I'm constantly doing. And it's just like your alcohol-free adventure. And it's just like it was for me 5.5 years ago, when you step out into the unknown, right? And there is a sense that you feel vulnerable, that there's a big challenge ahead, that there's going to be battles ahead. And do you know what? There's a high chance I get this wrong. There is a high chance I get there and the recording is just a complete dance floor disaster, right? And we can't even use it. But is that going to stop me going? No. I'm going to go and do my best. I'm going to go and interact and connect and hopefully have a bit of fun with Shah, whatever happens, and get to ask those questions that I've always wanted to ask her, as someone who is an inspiration to me, whose books that I've read, who's been a big influence in my life. Here's my opportunity to go and meet them, and I'm not really prepared, and I don't really have all the questions lined up. I don't have the right equipment. But is that going to stop me? No, because there's learning in there. And here's the thing, maybe it does work out. Maybe it goes brilliantly and the interview's a total success and the recording equipment sorts itself out and it works. And then I form a bond with Shah. someone that I've always wanted to get to know, and then who knows where that leads, right? Maybe that all comes from stepping out my comfort zone, from taking on that challenge. It's just the same as your alcohol-free adventure. It's the same thing, right? It's stepping out into the unknown. It's facing those battles and those challenges and those struggles. And you might slip up, fumble and stumble, but out the other side, hopefully, is growth and learning. That is the mission that I'm on today. So I'm off like a ginger, Dora the Explorer, right? Unprepared, but I've gone with a phone, so I'm going to record it like a bit of a amateur, but I'm also going to have the camera with the sound mic on, so I think that's going to look okay-ish, and we'll just see how it goes. Right, so we're in Richmond Park now. Greenwich Park even. We're in Greenwich Park and it's stunning. You just probably saw some of the backdrops there. Right in the heart of London, looking back on Canary Wharf. It's a super cool place. I didn't really know it was here. I knew the observatory was here, but I've never been to the park. Again, one to come back. I will be back here to do another mini documentary because it's a park worth looking at. Not only has it got all the observatory looking back on London, it looks cool, there's a deer park, there's all sorts of stuff going on here. Anyway, but not to get sidetracked, I'm ready, I'm pumped, I've done my preparation, the recording equipment's still a bit all over the shop, I'm gonna have to wing it slightly, hopefully the interview goes well and we can hear what's going on. I'm sure it's gonna be fun. I'll give you a shout afterwards and let you know how it went. So just finished the interview with Shah. She's absolutely lovely. I think it's my favourite ever podcast, and it's the first time, as mentioned, I've ever done one in person. It's a totally different vibe, totally different buzz. From now on, I will be going out of my way to do all of those interviews in person, and it just shows you, right there I was fearful, I was stepping out of my comfort zone, I was unsure, I was a bit nervous, I was unprepared, I didn't have the audio right. Yeah, I went for it, I pushed myself in and out of my comfort zone, and then just had an experience which was wonderful, right? I made real connection with Shah. She's an amazing lady. It was a brilliant podcast in my opinion, just because there's a different buzz to it, a different vibe, you know, when you can, you know, you're with someone in the same room, it's a totally different experience. I don't think the audio is going to be great. I think it's probably messed up a little bit, but we will have a podcast at the end of it, and I've learned something new. I've pushed myself and I've discovered something that I didn't know previously, was that actually trying to do the podcast in person is going to provide a much better listening experience for you guys. So that was really cool. I'm absolutely buzzing. Okay, I'm just back home after a bit of an adventure on my podcast adventure. It was a massive success in the sense that the interview, the podcast, the conversation, whatever you want to call it, was so much more vibrant because of the energy in the room. Not to sound woo about it, but it's just, I think it's a whole different level when you communicate with someone face to face. Like Zoom, Skype, things are amazing, but there's a level up when you're with someone in person, and I think that shone through the interview. I just felt like it flowed better, it was more articulate, it felt much more enjoyable in many ways for me on the other side of it, and I think Shah got a great buzz out of our conversation also, so it was a massive success on that sense. In terms of the audio, it was a dance floor disaster, right? So luckily, I mean, I took the phone as the real basic backup, you know, the voice memo thing on the phone, right? So no microphone, no nothing, just like phone record. I thought I'll just record that as a bit of backup, and I'll just record the video on this with the decent mic, and I'll pick up all the sound, and then we're like halfway through the interview and I could hear that the camera turning itself off. It must be a setting somewhere, but it looks like it can't record solidly for 30 minutes or 40 minutes or whatever it was we were communicating for. So I heard it, but then I didn't want to get too distracted by it, right? So I waited to the next end point, and when I looked at the camera, I didn't start checking whether it had been recording or not. I just started it recording again because it had stopped. And when I've looked at it, there's a big chunk missing. But I've listened back to the audio from just the phone, and to be fair, it's not bad. It's not amazing. Clearly, it's not as good as, like, you know, the high-end microphone type stuff. But luckily, we're in a lovely quiet room, and I think it's more than usable. I'm sure you'll get the tone of the message and enjoy us conversing in a way because we're in the same room, you know. So I think that outweighs the fact that the quality is not as good as it's meant to be. But either way, all of that angst, all of that worry prior to getting the audio sorted really was all about nothing, because when you think about it, it couldn't have gone much worse. The only thing that could have gone worse is I've not recorded anything. You know, I ended up recording it on the thing that I least wanted to record it on, because, you know, in terms of quality, it's probably the lowest level quality, but I've still got a podcast. It still happened. And the fact that, you know, I pushed myself out of my comfort zone, like you do on this alcohol-free adventure, I've now come out the other side with a story to tell. There's growth in there, there's learning in there. I'll do it better next time, but it didn't stop me doing the podcast. It didn't stop me making that connection. It didn't stop me learning from the experience, which is super important. Anyway, just to wrap it up there, the end of a successful day and my first ever vlog. I mean, mini movie. Thank you for sticking around for today. I'm looking forward to making the next one.